Hey everybody, and welcome back to game 2 of the best of 3 of the grand finals of April's Disposable deck tournament between Greyhound and Krot. In case you didn't see it, spoilers, Krot won game 1 on Highway to Seoul with with Baltic Front against Greyhound's Eurocore. Now Greyhound is playing Baltic Front on Mudfight is going to be, and I'm just gonna mention it again since last time someone was confused. Disposable deck means here that every deck can be played only once in a tournament. Meaning if you played Eurocore in any round, you won't be able to play it anymore for the rest of the tournament. And Baltic Front as well as Finland are allowed to play because apparently the way I phrased it confused someone. However, they essentially count as the same deck, meaning if you play Finland, you're not allowed to play Baltic Front again, and vice versa, so only either, which is why they'll be playing Baltic Front. And this means that up until now, neither of them have played either Baltic or Finland. That same is not the case for Eurocore in France or Eurocore in West Germany. This special rule is only for Baltic Front in Finland, as well as Entente in Yugoslavia, just because those two single nations are essentially the massive core of either coalitions. So I hope that dealt with any confusion. In any case, this is Greyhound's deck. Like I said, it's gonna play on Mudfight, which is probably why he went a bit heavier into tanks than you might usually see on Baltic Front decks. And I think that other than that, the only really noteworthy thing in this deck is the Scott 2 with the Sapersis Stromovi. I assume just for that early town fighting in the first few minutes, because usually the game on Mudfight revolves around a small town. So I assume that for the first, engagements, where both players just dump infantry into the town, he wants to use 2 or 3 squads of those, win the town, and then just fortify it with spikes in Yakari or maybe Panzer Yakari. I don't think he'll be using them too many of them outside of that, but who knows? Yeah, I think that's really anything noteworthy here. AA setup is fairly standard, nothing too fancy here. So let's take a look at Krot's deck. This time it's Krot playing Eurocore. Yeah, Reservists, Legion 90, Commander Marines. You've seen in recent times, I've seen a lot more people use this card than previously. LRM, Fob. This time around, he does run a Fob with the upvetted LRM as well, which is interesting to see. Lots of AMX 10s, of course. Lots of ASFs. Only 1 card of Peace Friends, but 3 cards of ASFs. That's interesting. 2 cards of Super Heavies. Lots of Krotals. Yeah. Nothing really too crazy. The fact that it's Mudfight, I'm very certain that the players did not have to send in deck codes, so they were able to adjust their decks for Mudfight. I think that's probably one of the reasons why he only runs 4 cards of recon slots. Usually you run 5 given what you have access to in Eurocore. But given how small and narrow the map is, something like a Gazelle cannon is not really that important. And with all the open fields, protecting your heavy tanks from enemy AT-Jam planes is also a lot more important. And 7 CVs is plenty, given there's only a few zones and none of them are 2-pointers. CV snipes, while they happen, usually not quite as impactful as they might be on other maps, and I'd argue also more preventable in most cases, assuming you have good control of the zones. So 7 CVs with 3 of them being expensive, totally viable. You could probably run like 1 card of infantry CV and a leopard 2 as well. Yeah. Other than that, I think, once again, nothing really too fancy. Lots of tanks. I feel like it's a bit overkill, but maybe he also just didn't know what else to put into his deck. I feel like Leclerc 2A5, 2A4, and 2A1 is quite a lot of, heavy, like 100+ point tanks. I feel like you could probably skip the 2A4 or something. But, that's just me. Of course, all the core units are here. The AMX 10s, the Tigers, Peace Friends, KWDS, Rafale, Leclerc, LRM. Legion 90, Krotal. It's usually the same stuff in Eurocore with a few exceptions, just like, Baltic Front. But yeah, let's hop into the game. And here we are in the match with Krot on the blue side in Bravo and Greyhound on the red side in Echo. And yeah, like I said, usually the fighting revolves around this side. Sometimes you see the blue spawn pushing for Foxtrot. Either there's actually 2 ways of Foxtrot pushes, right? Or I guess even 3 if you wanna be technical. But the thing is, either you push Foxtrot like only in the early game and you know live or like plan into losing it anyway, but then you know that you're gonna lose it, but that is because you expect your opponent to reroute most of their stuff, if not all of their stuff that went, for this side, down towards Foxtrot. And while your opponent is busy pushing you out of there and not quite realizing that you're not gonna really reinforce this anymore, all your reinforcements are getting pumped into this area. And while the main forces are still here fighting the remainder of what you had, all your reinforcements are in here taking the position here, and then pushing you out with the main forces here is gonna take a much longer time because you have a very highly defensible position and he has to push over an open field, and the reinforcements are gonna take a much longer time than they would towards Foxtrot. Or of course, you do a full push here, and if your opponent doesn't reroute, then well, you can contest or maybe even control Foxtrot, and getting like a foothold into Alpha and Delta, especially Delta, not really that difficult. Getting control of this push line or this push line, smoking it off, putting a tank CV there, and then protecting it from like the sides. Not that difficult. It's of course always a bit risky, and you can never really fully guarantee it. As well as getting back into Alpha is actually kind of easy to do because you have so much force here, because you getting stopped in the tracks here is virtually impossible just because your reinforcement route is that close. So even if there is some stuff shooting at you, you can deal with it relatively easily. So the opponent cannot really fully stop you from reinforcing that, but of course it's gonna take a long time, right? So going through all of this forest might even take longer than the spawn point here reinforcing Alpha. So there is certainly some dynamics going on here, and it's very, very rare, but sometimes people do push this area here, and it can certainly work, especially if you catch your opponent off guard and get control of this forest. But I feel like most of the time, if you do spot that it's an all-in push here, and you have like a Gazelle Cannon or a Tiger, then you can reroute your stuff easily enough to the side here. But let's take a look at their deployment. 3 AMX Sense and a Crotal for this area here. 2 AMX Sense, a Crotal, Villaray, 2 Legion, 2 Reservists, and 2 Leclercs for this area here. So very, very, very heavy into those Leclercs. Like, quite some points went into those 2 tanks. A mod at 40, trying to contest the 2 Leclercs, but the Leclercs should, head on in a one-on-one fight win, I reckon. Erikois, Osa, 2 Sapersis or Stormari, 2 Yakari and Alouette, BT 50 with Yakari, Ito 90, KT with Yakari, XA with Sissy, and the spike sword for here. Sorry, there. I assume the Ito here so that he can, easily deal with a Tiger should it come out here, so he doesn't get, completely wrecked by a single Tiger out there. Speaking of, it's very surprising to not see Krot start with the Tiger. He really likes to do that from my experience. But let's just see how it plays out. Do I have sound? Yes, okay. Sometimes the sound is a bit bugged. Smoke immediately coming out, of course. Probably also soon from this side. Let's see, does Greyhound spot the fact that there's only like 1 Crotal? He does spot the Crotal. He does spot the Babs, this Reservists. But I'm given that there's only 1 Crotal, I'm wondering if... Oh, well, there is another Crotal. Okay, so Crotal here was on defensively in case there's like an MS-17 or a KT. Spike being unloaded here, actually. I assume that he probably rerouted it as soon as he noticed that stuff is not going to push there, which is very smart. Mortar immediately trying to stop those spikes. The spikes can be very dangerous to Leclerc, as the Leclerc has only 7 side armor and as such gets 1 shot to the side by those spikes. Oh, that was... The Leclercs were shooting towards the Sapersi, right? I didn't fully catch if they had their front turned as well, but if they did, then that spike that just missed, right, could have just killed the Leclerc. Unfortunately, I missed this, and unfortunately, you can't reverse. Also, all those Legion 90 died. I don't know if those were was the work of the Sapersi or the KTs. There's the Jurgen immediately stunning those Leclercs. Leclerc's also taking shots from those tanks. Greyhound reversing, definitely the wrong call here. He knew the Jurgen was coming in, so the Twardy missed the opportunity to shoot and finish off a Leclerc. LRM coming from Krot now. Jurgen coming in behind the smoke cloud to prevent the Leclercs from properly reversing. The Sissy did get dealt with. Grotal's panicked. Leclerc's panicked. Smoke, the mortar is dead. Now what you want to see is a Syria. Also immediately getting those base defense. But there's the LRM. It's not really gonna do a whole lot. I mean, maybe it's gonna kill some infantry here, but the town is lost for now. The Leclerc's and the Crotal's gonna get out alive, luckily for him. I think Greyhound not microing his IP, either for the flank or for flying around, or for both, right? If there's nothing on the flank, then you might as well fly around. Greyhound not microing his spike here definitely didn't pay off. You know, it's always easy to say afterwards that, you know, oh, you should have microed the spike, but at the same time, sometimes just having it turned on and have it shoot as soon as it can is also the best call. So, yeah. But yeah, the opener definitely went into Greyhound's favor. What did he lose? He lost some Sapersi. The spikes got here some infantry, but nothing really major. Then again, Krot didn't really lose that much either, right? He lost most of his infantry, but he still has all of his Crotals. He still has both of his Leclercs. But positional advantage in Greyhound, for Greyhound. And I would also argue that in a defensive position, Baltic Front stronger, thanks to the spike squads. But he is relatively thin when it comes to infantry, right? And Sueris can be as strong as they want to be. Without infantry support, they can easily be overwhelmed. So you always need that infantry. Very aggressive here with those tanks. I'm very certain that given that I think that they didn't have to send in deck codes, Greyhound has no way of knowing that Krot only runs one card of Peace Shrines. So that even if he kills 2 Peace Shrines, he does know for certain that there won't be any more. Fire position here being used, trying to get out kill those Commandos para. Definitely very good, because the only thing that, you know, really works well against spikes in these bushes here is, for one, constant mortar fire, but you still have to be lucky that you actually hit and kill them. And the other thing is, of course, having scouts up the front line of your own in these bushes that spot them. One Commandos para dealt with, but there's another one coming. Lots of reservists being bought, of course. Actually, no, Sapersi survived. Maybe he just bought another squad. I'm sorry. Not really properly paying attention. KT here, of course, not being spotted. It's fell deep in the bushes and has medium stealth. But if 2 KTs run up, they should definitely win. One-on-one, the MX-10 should immediately one-shot them, unless, you know, they get a lucky crit. But yeah, lots and lots of reserves. Does Greyhound spot any of that? No. KWS being bought from Krot, you know, to prevent any kind of Syria trying to snipe his stuff. That's a bit unfortunate for Greyhound now. He used the oh no, he still has some of his salvo left. I was gonna say that he might have just used the rest of his salvo trying to just fire in there, but he definitely needs it here right now. Okay, Krot pushing up with 2 Leclercs and some of the reservists. I assume he wants to bait out the Jurgen, right? Bait out the Jurgen, make it use the last of its salvo, and then push up with the other reservists. I assume that's what his plan is. Saipi down south, just chilling here. Did kill something. Not sure what. It didn't vet up, so nothing too expensive. Maybe the Alouette that Greyhound had here. From the opener, maybe rerouted it to the south. Another Jurgen being bought. Probably a good call. The easiest way to, you know, defend against spam like this is just panic and stun everything. And you know, if your servers are panicked and stunned, they're already incredibly slow, but then they're even slower. And the other thing is, of course, coming at a very, very low veterancy, they're gonna take a long time to recover from the stun. LRM being fired on the mod and the town. The mod and the tower didn't really take too much. The mod is shaken, but it doesn't impact its rate of fire, of course, being that it's auto-loaded, only the accuracy and aim time. The spike did get killed, it's a bit unfortunate, very crucial for Greyhound. But it does have some more infantry in here, should the reservists and the AMX 13s make it up to the town here. Once again though, I would like to see some more spikes. There's one here. Maybe move it like to this town or that town, so that it can simultaneously, you know, switch between the towns and also defend if something comes up here. But also shoot into the side should the Leclercs be a bit too aggressive. Maybe you can bait them with your tanks reversing. Okay, there's the other Jurgen firing now. Greyhound also taking with the +1 now. KW is still circling and gonna be out of fuel any minute. Panzer Yakari. I hope you didn't hear that in the background. Panzer Yakari just holding clear. Brutal's being panicked. Nearly killed even. Another Brutal. Krot really does like his Brutals. I think that's just infantry squad or something. There's the Jurgens, not quite on target. Did stun and shaken one of the Leclercs, but not quite effective enough. And the smoke did still block line of sight. So this Jurgen, fresh reloading. This one is nearly done reloading. But the Greyhound definitely should get some more reinforcements. Spikes are good, but there's gonna be so many AMX 13s. He wants some KTs. I guess he has KTs here, but he should definitely try to keep them alive. Those are the only. He has 2 more here, but they're gonna be very crucial to deal with those AMX 13s. Reservists are really not a big issue, but you want to. Peace Ryan. Okay. No line of sight here. Maybe he had line of sight on the 20 somehow, but I can't see how. Yeah, definitely want to deal with those AMX 13s as soon as possible, because those Yakari will need 2 shots. And especially if you can kill them early on, then the reservists are gonna have to work. Kasaipi coming in. Oh no, there was a KT and a Soku over here, but oh no. That is... They're gonna... That's... It killed one of the Jurgens and spotted the fob. I'm not sure if Krot is going to try to snipe the fob, because he has only 1 LRM, right? And he kind of does need that for the front line. Oh, there's the mods coming in. The peace run coming in. Both of the tanks are still full HP, so unless it's a side shot, they will not get killed. But that's just so many reservists. And oh, the smoke was still queued up there. Twadi took a shot. One of the peace runs is down. Greyhound definitely needs some more infantry though. KT now around the flank, but should get killed by those Marder 2s and a Krotal. 20 down on 1 HP, second piece run down. That's the last piece run. Once again, I don't think... And the kid up, yes, wow, lots of air kills here for Greyhound. I don't think Greyhound knows that he's only gonna be 1 piece run, but even if he doesn't know, he's not gonna get punished should he really screw up with his smoke. There, the spike again. That was not a side shot, unfortunately. Eugen, or the game, being relatively lenient with what's still counting as a front shot. I think it's like a 90 degree angle at your front armor that still counts as a front shot. I believe in Allen Battle it was lower, but I can't tell you for certain. It's just from what I remember being said by various people. MX-10 being sniped, always good to see. Greyhound, there, I was gonna say Greyhound probably really wants a Syria. Let's see, is Krot gonna... he's gonna split. Didn't matter in this case. It was still early enough that Greyhound could target the individual Leclerc without the Syria having to turn. I think, actually, if Krot hadn't split, excuse me, and have them continue to drive backwards, it probably would have been able to get into the smoke cloud. Okay. Into the smoke cloud before the Syria was in range. Didn't quite get punished, didn't quite lose a Leclerc, but it is of course on 3 HP now. And the mod low on ammo. Greyhound did somehow manage to actually defeat all those reservists and 5-pointers, but there's more coming and not a lot for Greyhound. He definitely should get some more KTs in my opinion. Okay, the LRM is trying to kill the fob, but once again... Oh no! Oh no, okay, never mind. For a second I thought it also managed to snap the Rack 91, but it didn't. What I was gonna say is, yeah, that of course means that while he's trying to kill the fob, it's not available to shoot at the front line. And there's now 3 Legion 90. Ooh, you definitely want to catch them out in the open. Ericos are gonna deal some significant damage. The Sapersi are not quite... Definitely should have their assault rifle turned on, because they are shocked. Their primary weapon does deal significant damage. And Marder 2s that were from the Panzergrunts here, and a lot more reserves coming in. So while those tanks were out of are somewhat out of commission, especially the 20. Now all the infantry is pushing up. The Legion 90 did manage to get into the town. Jurgen's strike now coming in, very crucial. But honestly a tiny bit too late. Greyhound just didn't see that push coming, because he was probably under the assumption, with the Leclercs being damaged and panicked, and all the other reservists being killed, there's probably gonna be like a, time for him to recover while Krot is licking his wounds himself. So that was probably completely unexpected, and seems like Krot might be able to get into the town. There are some Sapersis Sturmomi, but one of them is on 1 HP, nearly dead, and they're not ideal to deal with MS-13s. Krotal trying to snipe the Puma here. The MS-17 could be crucial here, but is getting shut down by the Krotal. And all that fire support here. It's not a whole lot, but it's still something. Kind of keeping them in check. And now Krot is somewhat controlling parts of the town, and Syria killing one of the Leclercs. It's very crucial. One Syria gets killed, but might be enough for Greyhound to now overwhelm that single Leclerc with his 2 tanks. The 20 is fully repaired again now, getting weapons turned on and pushed up. The mod, though, out of ammo essentially, only 1 shot left in its 125mm gun. Panzerjäger is still here, doing some nice snipes and giving, of course, some line of sight on the stuff that's here out in the open. Doesn't spot the stuff in the cover here. Greyhound wants to, I think he wants to resupply his mod, but the supply is either too far away or the mod just took some damage, so that they refuse to resupply. But the 20 is pushing up. Yeah, definitely wants. I think the lack of KTs really allowed Krot to push in that far with all those reservists and 5-pointers he had. There's the 20 now. Gets a shot onto Leclerc. Well, I didn't realize it was an angle here. Leclerc misses in return with a 98% chance to hit. That's an 98% chance on the Sapersi. Probably a bit lower on the 20, given it was at near max range, I presume. Panther now on Greyhound's, Krot's end. Unloaded some Commando Marines to push in there. Probably the Panther just to hover here so the Commando Marines can move in. And if the Panzerjäger are too close to the edge of the forest, they will get killed by the Panther. But those Sapersi Sturmovi and, tanks, KTs, did manage to root out most of the reservists and the Legion 90 squads, most importantly. No recon here though for Greyhound, so it does not spot that MX-10 shooting in those Yakari. And, Yakari are just line infantry, but they're strong line infantry and definitely want them in the town. Both, for killing enemy infantry, of course, the Legion 90 here, sorry, the reservists, but also just to have something in the town to slow Krot down, should he try to push again. Milan 3 here now hits like a truck, of course, as much AP as a peace shrine. So 3 shots will kill both the 20 and the mod up front. LRM firing once again on the known FARB position. FARB should probably die, given that it's an upwitted LRM. Very accurate. Yeah, 1 direct shot already got it down to 2 HP. And yep, that's the kill. 23 minutes to go, so this is not relevant. CV being called in here by Greyhound may be a bit greedy in my eyes, because this is still very much contested. And Greyhound doesn't really need to tick right now. He is already ahead in points and has arguably the better position in mid. Probably has the better position in mid. So I think trying to invest more into tanks or infantry, spikes, etc. to fortify his position, because it is a bit shaky at the moment, would be the better call. You're not sure if the Eurogun strike was really worth it. Maybe he had it queued up and forgot. Oh, that could be... No, it's not going to be a nasty side shot, because... Yep, that's the thing. If you shoot like between the towns, you can very easily lose line of sight if the target is moving laterally, so that the towns and house blocks will just block your vision. Smoke is not quite needed, given that there's no peace trend, but of course, Greyhound doesn't really know that. But the SAP sneaking around, killing one of the Euroguns, but probably more importantly, spotting the FOB. It's gonna be very annoying, because you can resupply this, of course, with your supply trucks, but that is not very nice. Panzerjäger killed a... Is that a Krotal? What did he kill here? Yep, a Krotal. Twardy and mod. Yeah, I think personally I would have preferred to see another Twardy or preferably even a mod to come out instead of the CV. Milan F3, like I said, hits quite heavily but misses. spike back here. Not the ideal position, but I think he's just scared to move it up over the open because of MX Sense and various other guns that could shoot at the 2 HP squad very easily. Panzergrenadiere here could easily... Ooh, that toward Leclerc is in a dangerous position. And 2A5 is not quite there yet. But Greyhound didn't really reinforce his town. The tank's busy shooting at the Leclerc, so Legion 9 can move up basically unscathed into the town, and still no reinforcements for the town coming in. Now there's some more Separatist Sturmrovier, but just too little too late maybe. Legion 90 defensively in the town gonna be very tough to deal with that 1050 meter range on their Erics. Of course it also hits like a truck, so the mods in the 20s, there's essentially like a no-go zone for them here in this area. For the time being. Lots of spikes. You know, 10 minutes ago he should have bought spikes, and now instead of buying spikes he should have bought infantry for this town. Oh, and the Panzergrenadiere, yep, like I said, moved up without getting spotted and dealt with the Osa. And now the tank CV is not even in the zone at the moment anymore. So yeah, this is not a very good position for Greyhound. His, I think it was too comfortable with what he had in the town and the 2 tanks. Didn't quite bother reinforcing and instead tried to focus on, you know, spikes and the CV, and that, you know, seemed to cause him dearly. But he is adding points and he is ticking, and this is a map where getting a +2, let alone a +3, is relatively difficult. Twardy though tanks some Legion 90 shots and gets finished off by the F3. I assume the 2A5 also played a role there. And I completely missed that Leclerc died. I'm sorry for that. Once again, missing that the Leclerc dies, just like last time. But it's 1 super heavy on 1. This 2A5 is even damaged. The MX-13's tank, like... There we go. Getting the spike to just waste its ammo, but it died anyway. Now there's all the infantry, but, you know, given that he doesn't have control of the town anymore, a bit more difficult to get back. I'm not sure where they are driving. Why they're driving this way. He'll definitely go attack from that angle in my eyes, because that way he has the town between him and the, you know, 2A5 and potential other tanks if there were any. And then the KTs can more easily give fire support onto the enemy infantry. Another Sierra being bought, trying to hunt the 2A5 down, kill it of course. But you know, KT's working out. I guess he preferred to stop those reservists from getting eyes or like right next to the CV. The flames here forcing the CV to move, I presume. Yeah, it's moving. Tanks do not like sitting in flames. Not sure how realistic, I wouldn't be able to tell you. There's a 2A5 Leopard 2 CV now coming in, trying to counter the cap. But once again, Greyhound leading in points, and with 15 ticks, 160 point lead, you need something like 11 minutes. And now he's only gonna stop the cap for now. So the conquest point advantage, very valuable on mudfight, but also kind of hard to get, given that it's, like I said, very rare to get like a +2 or +3, since there's so few zones and they're all just 1 point. Also being very close to the town. You have to be careful though that if you're a bit too close to the town, then the buildings might actually obstruct line of sight to the Syria. Sadly, no way to really check this in replay. Panzerjäger here still trying to be sneaky. They would be spotted by the Leopard 2 if they moved over the open field. It does have medium optics after all, and of course there's, you know, the AMX-10 around here. And other stuff, Commander Marines, especially with the help of the MX-10, of course, gonna easily deal with those Panzerjäger. KTs out of Bushmaster 2 ammunition happens more quickly than you think, but, you know, doesn't change them from being quite a ridiculous unit. Commandos Powder trying to move up here, but will be stopped presumably by those KRKKs, or even just that KT. Especially Sturmrovier trying to move in. Do get into the town. This could be difficult for Krot to deal with. It remains to be seen. There's still some MX-10s. There's no being 2 Panthers being called out. And you know, they die as quickly as any other infantry does, right? They're still just 10 HP squads, so fire support is gonna work well. But of course, look at how easily they deal with those Legion 90. But they are panicked now as well. And the Commander Marines are not. And the Commander Marines are, as, you know, special forces. But there's more Passive Stürmer coming in now. One Legion 90 squad is dead. Jürgen did get resupplied by the 4 stack of supply trucks. Greyhound trying to split them together so they all 4 squads move into the town, but they refuse to enter the town, presumably because of the because of the fire, and there's no smoke here stopping the aim makes sense. And out in the open, they obviously take full 3 damage from those rounds. They just won't enter the town, and now they're panicked. Oh no! This is so frustrating for Greyhound. I'm pretty sure it's because of the flames that they refuse to like properly get into the town. Oh, that is so frustrating. If he kept up the smoke and actually just drove into there and unloaded them right in the buildings, I think they might have been safe. But oh, this is gonna cost him at least partial control of the town now. And those AMXNs of course will one-shot those KTs. 2 mods now engaging those 2 2A5s. That's not how you want to do this. You don't want to engage 2 mods with 1 2A5 at a time. You want to do 2 and 2. Ideally supported by even more. In an even fight, like a single firing computer reset optical failure will easily turn the tide. So you do want like infantry support to tank damage, etc, etc. Krot realizes that and just reverses. The smoke's just coming in a bit too late. All those Panzer Yakari, 20 men got melted into 4. Let's see what's happening here. I think there should be... Here, it does have 2 mortars, but one of them should probably preventive smoke defensively, and one of the 2-5s, like I said, did get firing computer reset, and that was the one that was at full HP, so the other one is still only sitting at 6 HP. 15 minutes left, Greyhound still sitting at 166 points. And still no tick for either player. 3 Panzer Yakari make it into the town. They deal with the Commando Marines, but there's 30 more coming in. And if there's one thing that Special Forces are actually somewhat efficient at, it's town fighting. Because that's where... And of course a Panther here easily deals with the infantry squad. Because that's where usually you can't engage with as many infantry squads or as much fire support as you would be able to in other engagements. One LRM shot being fired in here until Krot decided to actually change his target onto what I presume are... Oh no, he's trying to snipe the CV. He doesn't realize the tank CV... Either that there is a tank CV or that it's sitting there. Interesting. Maybe he never fully identified it and, only saw the silhouette and thought it's a normal T-72 of some sort. Milan 3 missing the... I think it would have been a front shot still, but would have nearly been a side shot. But there's the 2A5s engaging now, and one of the mod goes down. The other one's still only at 4 HP. There has had to be like a side shot or something there in between. Oh, and the KT is trying to move in, but getting completely stopped by the Panther there. And of course, there's still 30 Commando Marines, and dealing with those, when your fire support is panicked and killed, gonna be very difficult. Reservists and MX-13s now sitting in here trying to just soak up damage. Greyhound should just probably just try to ignore the town and just focus on not losing his CV and trying to prevent any kind of +1 on Krot's end. With 30 minutes to go, Krot will soon need the whole remaining time at a +1 to win this game. So the right call right now might be... I'm not sure. I was gonna say that maybe try to like make a... Okay, yeah, Greyhound is moving up the CC. I assume that he thinks about potentially doing some stuff into Charlie. Maybe see if he can move a CV in there to get some additional points, or make it so the Krot needs a +2 or something at some point in order to win. But he of course also needs to keep this alive. And it's gonna be very difficult with a damaged mod and nothing between the 2A5 and the CV really. So this is gonna go down soon by the looks of it. And given that the replay is only 40 seconds left, only 40 seconds remaining, there goes the tank CV. And there probably goes the mod soon. No, the 2-5s keep reversing. I think he doesn't want to take a chance. I'm not sure if the second Syria dies. M8 TKT hovering low, so the 2 firing position commands on the ground next to it, 3 now, will be able to do this. In case you don't know, if a helicopter is hovering low, you can fire position on the ground below it, and the splash damage on the HE rounds will actually deal damage to it. Only if it's hovering low though. But +2 will be enough for Krot, and I don't think Greyhound believes. Yep. Well, he thinks he sucks. I mean, you got to finals, so yeah. I think it all went downhill when Greyhound just didn't properly reinforce the town. I think it was a major mistake. I mean, the Kasaipi flying around, sniping one of the Jurgens and spotting the fob. Very unlucky as well, especially given that they were KTs that got it down to 1 HP, but didn't deal enough damage. And it's so cool in the MIT KT. Also on the flanks, just flying a different route or past it or not spotting it. That single Kasaipi, as well as, you know, Greyhound's refusal to just reinforce the town, meant that he couldn't, or just didn't, continue his advantage that he had in the early game, when he had control of the town, when he controlled the pace of the game, really. And then Krot just ground him down, really. He sniped both of the Syrias, so Krot's stronger tanks were able to deal more damage. And then just slowly but surely sort of pincered him as well, right, around the town, with the AMX-10 sniping the reinforcements, sniping the KTs, forcing the infantry unload, forcing the infantry to, or panicking the infantry, stunning the infantry, damaging the infantry, mostly killing it. And yeah. I think that's all really that needs to be said. It was a pretty close game, I would say, even though it was only 28 minutes long. But I think it doesn't really show the full picture. And yeah, that means that Krot does win the tournament, given that it's a best of 3. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the casts. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Later!